Google appears to be poised to enter the console market, and in a short week away, we will be hearing more about this console at GDC. I think the gaming community has been a little more than hesitant by this point. After all, we already have 3 console makers with Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, so do we really need a new console maker? That hasn't stopped Google so far, and they certainly have the money for it. And let's not forget, when Microsoft entered the ring back in 2001 with the original Xbox, they too were not taken serious by much of the community. A little game called Halo quickly changed that mindset alongside Xbox Live, and so too Google will need a high caliber game or games. See, hardware is important, of course. We want state-of-the-art visuals, high frame rate, 4K capability, HDR, and so on and so forth, but the most important thing would be software. It's always going to be about games, and if Google can put great games on their platform that aren't available on other consoles, people will come. The problem is they need developers, and I think Google knows that, as they have already partnered up with Ubisoft, as we saw last year with Assassin's Creed coming to Google streaming, but now we are hearing rumors that they have a major partnership with Sega. Now this rumor should be taken with a grain of salt, and it originated from the YouTube channel Spawn Wave. I don't really know their track record, so again, take this with a grain of salt. Nonetheless, this would be a big get for Google. Sega may not be the biggest or most exciting developer, but they have a plethora of IP that Google can play with, including Sonic, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Alex Kidd, Golden Axe, Shenmue, Shinobi, and the list goes on and on. Back in 2017, Sega actually talked about reviving some old franchises, so maybe we can see some of these games on Google's new platform, and if they aren't available anywhere else, I'm sure Google can carve out a small space in the console market. See, I've been reading the book Console Wars recently, which is about how Sega entered the console market and took on Nintendo, which at the time controlled 90% of the market. Sega did this by being scrappy, and who knows, maybe Google will take on this attitude. After all, Google may be used to being one of the biggest players in the market, but in the game market, they'll be the smallest coming in. One thing is for sure, Sega has a lot of old-time fans. Sega may not be huge today on consoles, but kids who played games in the 90s will remember a time when Sega did what Nintendo don't. They will remember a time when Sega took on a giant and brought out a blue hedgehog that made Mario look as if he was in slow motion. To have them partner up with one of the biggest companies in the world, you never know. Sega may make a return in making great games once again. At the very least, I'm sure plenty of old-time fans will be pleased to see some old franchises return. Now, we have also seen a patent for Google's controller, and well, I gotta say, when I first saw this thing, I was thinking it doesn't look very comfortable. It actually reminds me of the Pokken controller a little bit, and maybe it's not as uncomfortable as I'm thinking in my head. Of course, it's just a patent, so it may look completely different now as well, so you never really know about these things, that things do change. We did see somebody make a mock-up render of it, however, and the color scheme is actually pretty cool. I like how the buttons are not actually letters or symbols like, there's circle X, triangle square, or ABXY. You just kind of have colors with this, blue, red, yellow. It's pretty cool. And I'd like to see that. I think it'd be interesting. It should also be noted that Google is much like Microsoft in the sense that they are not just making a console, but are also going to be streaming games. We know that Microsoft is working on xCloud and buying up developer after developer, and I think this may be in preparation for Google entering the market. We're also hearing things about Amazon, but this video isn't really about Amazon, so we won't get into that. Either way, things are starting to become more clear, and who knows, maybe there is a bidding war going on behind scenes where Google is also trying to buy up developers. At the very least, things are starting to heat up, and we won't have to wait much longer to see what Google's plans actually are. So what do you guys think about Google entering the console market? And what do you all think about these new rumors of Sega partnering up with Google? Do you like it or no? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.